Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our special webcast today. This is a very special webcast where we're actually bringing in our existing partners to talk about their practices and kind of get deep into their business and share some of those best practices for you to learn from, and how they've overcome some of the hurdles that they've taken to become a security-first MSP. Thank you for joining us today. This is a webcast that's dedicated on helping you as a partner build a security practice with some of the tool sets, the learnings, the product education to help you get there smoothly. So with that said, I want to quickly introduce our panel today and who will be going into the details of our discussion. So, Davey, why don't you start off with your role, where you're located, and kind of the firmographics of the company that you're from?
Yes, thank you, Brianna. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Orbit is an IT consultancy firm that's located in Belgium. Our HQ is near Ghent, more specifically, and but we also have offices in the Lokeren, Antwerp, and the Brussels region. And since I think about 3 years now, we are part of an international group. That's Rico. You may know them from printing and multifunctionals, but they do more. They're diversifying into the IT services also. I myself have been working for Orbit almost 13 years now, if I'm correct. Yeah, 13 years. And I have a technical background, and now I'm in the position of as a service line manager for our cloud team. And that cloud team it consists of Microsoft 365 and Azure consultants, engineers. And I think in about total, we have about 150 consultants in the company. So Orbit, that is, not Rico or Upfront, which is another company of ours in Belgium. But of course, not all of them are Azure or cloud consultants. It's about 15 of them, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Anthony, let's pass it off to you.
Awesome. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Anthony. I work with DataPros. We are a Microsoft managed service provider in New Jersey. We're about 30 minutes outside of New York City. Our organization is a tight-knit group. We have about 15 people. And again, we're really focused on that 0 to 300 person organization. I've been working with the organization now for about 6 years. I'm the director of sales and marketing. And our main goal is really to offer a platform where we can help SMBs adopt, manage, and govern their Microsoft 365 subscription. And again, thank you so much, Brianna and team, for having me on today. Excited to talk about this.
And last but not least, Emmy.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm super happy to be here today. My name is Emmy and I work at Microsoft, and I focus on Microsoft 365 go-to-market specifically for small and medium business security. So, and this is actually my favorite type of webinars and webcasts where we really get to pick the brains of partners. And I think that as a partner, I can anticipate that this is going to be one of your favorites too.
Awesome. And thank you for our panelists. If you don't know me already, my name is Brianna Lau. I'm the Global Growth Solutions Lead for Seamless Security, what we call cybersecurity here. So with that, let's get it started. So the first question that we have just for our guests today are, as partners are heading into this space, what have you been doing in your business to address kind of the movement of your business to a security-led, security-focused type service? And what do you see as some of the opportunities and challenges that you've come across or are still potentially dealing with? So maybe I'll start with you, Davey, if you can give some insight of what you're currently dealing with today.
Well, I think what we're dealing with is that there's a huge need for cybersecurity with every customer, even it's a SMB or if it's enterprise related. And what we try to focus on is that, for example, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint or Business, is that it it's part of the broader Microsoft security ecosystem, and that's the main advantage. It enables a seamless and integrated security approach across the entire company, going from endpoints, mobile devices, even servers for the Azure side of that. And also, if you look at it and combining with Lighthouse, Microsoft 365 Lighthouse it is, which is another key advantage. As an MSP, we use it and we manage the security of our customers from within one single portal. And for example, we can see immediately if there's an active threat on any of the or all of the managed tenants and act on it. So yeah, from our point of view, it makes an excellent choice for any organization of all sizes.
Awesome. Anthony, what are you
Yeah,
thinking in terms of this? And how has your company been addressing the space so far?
no, most definitely. And to echo some of Davey's points, security is a top of mind topic for all organizations. We specifically deal with SMBs, and it's something that they're concerned about. It's really just about the awareness factor for them. And we see a huge opportunity in leveraging Microsoft 365 Defender for Business, the Business Premium Hero SKU, to kind of consolidate what some of these small businesses have in their current environments. I mean, it's a large opportunity to try to take them from an existing solution where they're managing, 3-4 point solutions down to Microsoft 365. However, with Defender for Business, Defender for Endpoint, Office 365, and again, as an MSP, we can leverage Lighthouse. It's really a great opportunity to offer a new security service to these SMBs. Some of the challenges that we've seen in the space are really going to be the lack of awareness. Because when you bring up Microsoft in terms of security, a lot of people don't know Microsoft is like the largest security company around, right? So educating them is extremely important. And that's just an opportunity right from the get-go when you're talking to some of these customers. And then really trying to determine where their resistance is coming from. If they have these third-party point solutions, can we try to consolidate and save them costs? Because at the end of the day, that's what every business owner wants to hear. And I think that's the great opportunity that we have as partners, is to save some money for our customers and implement a cohesive solution with Microsoft 365 security offerings.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's correct. If I may add on that, it's I'm a partner, or we are a partner from the European region, so more specifically Belgium. So I can only give a glimpse on what we're facing when we are talking to customers about these kinds of solutions. And I think every company is aware, it's in the news, that they need to do something to improve their cybersecurity, but also at the same time, they're very resistant to change on that topic. And I think we also have to explain time and time again that cyber attacks, they're very sophisticated. At this point, they're becoming more and more sophisticated. And also the tactics that they use, with the evasion that they use, the mechanisms, and everybody is a potential target. It's not just about the large enterprises anymore. That's long ahead of us. So and also, one more thing to add is, I think many industries have regulatory requirements, data privacy, GDPR, and that's something that adds up, because Microsoft has a lot of tools that that organization can use to help organize it with.
And I agree. And just to add to that a little bit more, is it's really not an enterprise conversation. It's come down to small businesses. Security affects everybody. And talking to customers, the one thing they like to say is, well, I'm kind of small. I'm off the radar to some of these potential threats. And really, the truth is, it's the opposite, right? And a hack could cripple a small business. So integrating these security solutions into the way they operate, into the way they work, is crucial for them. And to talk about what Davey said, compliance and governance is something that everybody needs to be aware of, whether or not you need to follow something like GDPR, FINRA, or CMMC. You still need to govern your data and have the proper mechanisms in place to understand what's changing with your environment. And we found that Microsoft can help us with that, as opposed to some of the other solutions out there.
You guys mentioned things like compliance, governance in terms of meeting industry regulations. You've talked about breaches, whether it's happened to them or they see it in the news. And I know that there's also reference to cyber insurance, right? Having customers meet the requirements within their security posture to apply for cyber insurance. Those use cases, is there something that comes up a little bit more than the others that quantifies why they move into that direction? Have you seen something more prominent in your customers today?
I think, compliance, regulation, and as you mentioned, the insurance audits, those are really kind of forcing the hand for a lot of these businesses to make decisions. Whether it's with another solution or Microsoft, they're actually coming to us like partners and engaging in those conversations. 5-10 years ago, that really wasn't what was going on, but now, because it's in everybody's face, people are cracking down on those audits. It is bringing a lot more opportunity to the plate, and that's really where, as a partner, we can sit down and have these discussions to tactically put in compliance and governance solutions. You see it all the time now, compliance as a service offering. That's something that partners should really look into, because your customers are waiting to have these conversations. You just need to learn exactly what they're looking for and then bring it to them for that discussion.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue to the next question. Around kind of what does your customer journey look like, right? We talked about some of those use cases of reasons why, but from your business and sales cycle, what does it look like for you to quantify a lead into a real sale? Anthony, given your background in sales and marketing, what is your answer for this?
Yeah, so leads and prospects, they take all different shapes and sizes, and the buzz is around cybersecurity. So if you're going to position cybersecurity as an offering, it's a great path to go down. However, every customer is going to handle it a little bit differently. So, what we do is we analyze the customer that we're working with. We understand what their vertical is, what their security need might be, and we just bring that up to them. We're going to qualify it, we're going to quantify it, but most importantly, we're going to educate them. And that's really where we are with, especially a lot of small businesses. That's where we do the primary amount of our work, is with small businesses. So there's a longer education process there. However, when you build up that trust, you're able to tell them, hey, the great part is you're already paying for Microsoft 365 Business Premium. We just get to enable these features for you on the back end. And then that's really where some of that project work comes in handy, because there might be some longer term objectives that they need to go through with. But that's really what we've seen in our sales and lead cycle. And it's leading with the right messaging. So do more with less is something that Microsoft has kind of been pushing out to partners. And that's what we in turn have been discussing with our customers. You can do more with less if you're properly implementing the Microsoft 365 stack and the security stack. So that's just a little insight into what we've done in terms of our sales and prospecting cycle. We'd love to hear, a little bit more from some other partners as well. I'm sure we can discuss that in the Q&A.
Yeah, if I can add on that, what we try to do is we try to focus and get all our customers on Microsoft 365 Business Premium. For us, that's the minimum standard, because it has a lot of security features enabled that the basic or the standard doesn't have. And maybe if I can elaborate a little bit more, what we have is we created a managed service, the managed modern workplace, and what we offer to our customers. And after the sales pitch, what we do is after the first agreement, we typically have 1 or 2 half-day workshops, that is, with the customer, and it's with the solution architect of our team, a Microsoft 365 team. And what we do is really deep dive into the solution together with the customer, and what the new way of working will be with that customer and how it will impact his organization, because it's really important for the customer to understand what the impact will be. For example, what can you expect for multi-factor authentication? What are the possibilities? What can we do for governance, data security? And after this workshop track, we have a standardized and semi-automated implementation project with the customer. Then we have a transition phase, which goes into operations and where we get to the managed modern workplace. It's more of what we notice, and what Microsoft is also telling is that it's more a storytelling. You have to sell the story to the customer, like in the modern workplace, and not try to sell the specific technology as in Defender.
That's a great point, and it's something that we've seen work tremendously well is when you're using these analogies. We see it all the time, right? Securing your house. How do you secure your home? You put up cameras, you lock your doors, etc. The same thing goes for your business. So you can tell that story and tell that journey without going into the bits and bytes of the technology of Defender for Business or what have you. So that's a great point, Dave, you made. And it's something that SMBs, they really connect with that. They connect with the storyline. And again, it speeds them up on the learning curve. So without getting too technical, you can let them know the importance of this technology and why they need it, no matter what the size of their organization is.
Emmy, I want to see if that's a good segue for you. As the Senior Product Marketing Manager for Microsoft 365 Business Premium and Defender for Business, I know that you've used the housing analogy. How has that spoken with your partners that you've discussed this to, maybe customers that you brought this as an example to? Just elaborate on kind of the feedback that you've generally received in pitching that analogy.
Yeah, definitely. And I will also pop the deck in the chat, because we have a BDM deck where we actually have this house analogy that you can use. And then that's for sort of Defender for Business. And then we also have some scenario slides for Business Premium that you can also use. But there's just so much to be said on this topic. I think that what you were discussing around the storytelling is just so important, because especially in SMB, we often end up talking to business decision makers rather than technical decision makers, since they tend to rely on their partners for the technical side. So then, of course, how do we appeal to these business decision makers, and how do we take, especially security, that very easily becomes a technical topic around buzzwords like attack surface reduction, like those kinds of things, is the thing that we need to debunk and really walk through the value. Because I think that if we just rely on the technical terms and say, like, we will be able to protect your applications or protect your devices, I mean, it sounds good, but what does it really mean, and what value will it bring to the business? I think that's where partners can really help customers to understand. And I think just on the previous topic around like what SMBs are facing in terms of threats, I mean, it has been a huge shift to be more commoditized. I mean, we see that these actors are really operating as businesses. So they have the scale, like we are working, all of us here on this call, we're working to protect customers. And we have businesses to sort of sell that and run that type of business. The same way these bad actors have businesses to actually run ransomware and malware attacks. And I think that is really the shift, and that SMBs need to internalize. Like, that is the scale that they're facing. And then with that perspective in mind, do we still feel good about having an antivirus as our main protection? Because from our optics, we have seen, like, in developed markets, in emerging markets is different, of course, but in developed markets, we see like 80 to 90% of customers own some sort of security, whether they picked it up at a retail store, whether they bought like some very basic antivirus, but that is like the truth. Many of them already have something. So they will ask you, why should I pay more? Why should I like switch from the thing that I'm already using? And then I think it's important to really land the story of like, antivirus really relies on known threats. Like, it's something that we have seen before, therefore we can spot it again. But zero-day attacks is on the rise. That is the thing. Like, if we then think about what these businesses do, they launch malware and ransomware attacks daily. So of course you will see new things. Antivirus will not protect you from new things. It will also not protect you from behavioral-based attacks. So that those two really are key. Yeah. And I think that just on the customer journey, there's also like so much to be said. And I think that both of you are in the US and Belgium, which is obviously very developed markets. And I think Business Premium is a very good fit for those markets. We have seen MDB being a great stepping stone. We see like Central and Eastern Europe doing very well with MDB. We see APAC region doing very well with MDB, also because of the pricing perspective. So it can be used as a stepping stone and as a pathway towards Business Premium as well.
Yeah, that's a good answer and good insight. And I love kind of the differences in how you see the markets, right? Like,
Yeah.
where more cost-conscious customer is going to generally gravitate to, and where in more of a developed country, they're going to go for the more consolidated package that includes their productivity alongside security. It kind of moves into the next question that we have here. You touched on budget, right? But what are some of the common objections that you're generally coming across, and how do you generally overcome it or address it? To Anthony, I know you probably have some experience in this field, given your sales background. So what are your thoughts on some of the customer objections?
Yeah, I think obviously the big one is always going to be cost. Explaining to customers that, you know, a CapEx is now turning to an OpEx. So that's a big thing. But more importantly, purpose. A lot of times we're having the discussion, why do I even need this? Right? I have these solutions in play. And that's really where it becomes a strategic opportunity where you get to educate the customer, talk about those common examples, as Emmy and Davey mentioned, those analogies that really ring true to the business owners, and then talk to them about how you're going to be able to consolidate. So touch on the cost, but more importantly, touch on, you know, the impact of what a cyber threat can mean to this type of organization, what downtime means, because then it brings purpose to light, and they say, okay, well, I know I can't be down this long, so there is a purpose to this. Because sometimes people come to me and they're saying, it just sounds like an insurance policy, right? I'm waiting for something to happen, but in the truth, Microsoft is doing so much more than that. As Emmy mentioned, the zero-day threats, the zero-day trust, preventing, you know, these new email business compromises that are at an all-time high. So again, I think cost and purpose are huge objections, but when you're educating the customer, it can, you know, really pay dividends over time.
Davey, any thoughts on your end?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's the two major topics for common objections. The one is cost; it's too expensive, and I think the other one is yeah, what we do now for security measures, it's sufficient, it's enough. But both, yeah, are quite easy to counter. I think it's too expensive. Well, if you give some numbers, like Microsoft has some excellent slides with some statistics in it, what the data breach actually costs to a company, and like Anthony said before, it's in a small or medium-sized business, it can actually put them out of business if they suffer a data breach. And also, if you need to explain what that their current security measures aren't enough or aren't sufficient. It requires, I think it's a more in-depth talk. You can you really take a look at what their environment is. And I mentioned before that we sometimes do these workshops with our customers. Then we pick some of the broader security features that they are lacking and they are missing now, and we provide them with some simple examples how someone could take abuse of that, like Emmy said before, a classic antivirus solution that will not detect a sophisticated attack. It's not just or what I mean is it's you're dealing sometimes with big actors now. It's a complete business around it.
Yeah. And I want to go off, something that you shared in the past question around coming to it as a managed services opportunity and how you can support holistically with their modern workspace. Is that something that you've used as a tactic to come across those budget concerns, when dealing with product lines and selling specific Microsoft licensing rather than the service overall and what you can bring to the table?
Yeah, we try to include it in a broader solution as a managed modern workplace offering, and what we sell it as we make sure that the employee of our customers are able to work from everywhere on every device, but in a secure way, and we focus on the security. That's the key point. That means securing their identity, securing the endpoints, the devices, mobile devices, also securing the data. And Defender for business or endpoint, it's just a part of it, part of the entire solution. And it all comes, of course, at a predictable price per month for the customer.
Yeah. I want to take this question from a different lens and shoot it to you, Emmy, around customer objections and common objections, right? Because as you know, most of these organizations will have some type of security already installed within their organization. So when a partner comes to a new customer and they say, hey, I already have something, we don't need your service, we don't need Microsoft for security, how do you generally handle these objections when that's a concern from your customer or partner that's coming to you saying, this is what I'm generally coming across?
Yeah. And I think that there is a couple of things that you can do here, also depending on the customer size. So if we're talking about, let's say, a customer that has around, let's say, 25 to 50 users, you as a partner, of course, need to think about the cost of sale. So what I would recommend in this case is to of course, ask questions, really uncover the real objection and understand what the issue is. Oftentimes, and I actually used to be a seller, so oftentimes what I found is that the first thing that the customer says is not the real objection. So really asking questions and understanding the underlying objection. Like if they say that price is a concern, well, what is the option? Let's say that the customer has an antivirus. Well, then the option is continuing to operating with antivirus, and then showing the customers all of the things that will sort of not protect against, and sort of showing the stats that we talked about in the beginning, like security being on the rise, the cost of breach, and all of that, and really trying to land the value proposition and the value and the difference that they would get with either MDB or Business Premium. I mean, if you're going for Business Premium, then it's a huge jump when it comes to security. But even with MDB, like when we think about what other vendors sell, like we see many vendors selling for like $1 an antivirus solution. But then if you think about the MDB value proposition, antivirus is like 1 out of 5 pillars in the value proposition, and it costs $3. And there is just a huge area for partners as well to add services to it. Like it will help you to improve your security posture, to build the right foundation, to take preventative measures. It will protect you against antivirus as well as ransomware. It will also help you to automatically detect behavioral-based attacks and remediate those attacks and actually take the natural steps that an analyst would take. So the difference is just huge there as well. And then if you add on top everything with Business Premium, like conditional access, like secure access to your work, being able to protect like documents, it's just a different story. But I think my main advice would just really be to understand the underlying issue, because if then cost is an issue, well, then isn't it a bigger risk for you as a business to continue operating with just antivirus? Because like even I have a lot of friends in the startup space and in the small business space. Like when you get into the topic, many of them have actually been breached. And when you start talking about it, you realize how common it is for these kind of things to happen. At least in Sweden, where I'm from, I think that many small businesses, they try to like hold it in and they don't share because they're afraid that that will hurt their image. But when you sit them down in a trusted environment, you realize how extremely common this is. And I think that the issue is that many of them don't know how to navigate the space. And I think the issue is that it's also so much noise out there. Everybody is saying that their solution is the secure solution, the best of breed, the best of whatnot. And companies, they don't know. Again, business decision makers, they just want to run their business. They don't want to worry about IT. So I think that, yeah, those are sort of my main points. But my main advice is just to really ask questions. And then we have one slider that shows like traditional antivirus and then MDB. I think that's a great start, because then you have like a discussion framework. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to segue also to the next question, Emmy. You're hitting them all on the head.
Yeah, maybe one point that I could also make on the previous one. Yeah. One interesting thing that we have also seen, like if you're dealing with a bigger customer and you actually have like an IT decision maker that believes like, oh, I'm happy with X vendor, it is more secure, MDB is not going to suffice for me. What you can do is to do like a proof of concept within the customer. Mm-hmm. You can deploy MDB. Let's say that you say, okay, let's try. Let's deploy 5 users. Let's say that the company has 100 users. Let's say that you decide to deploy 5 users, 10 users, whatever you decide, 15, 20, on MDB. And you turn on MDB fully on these users. Then for the rest of the users, you just enroll them to the threat and vulnerability management section, but you don't activate MDB. That means that you will get diagnostics and insights on the users that are not using MDB. And you will see what threats emerges on those users and how the existing solution is or isn't protecting them against that. And then you will see on the MDB enrolled users where they are protected against MDB, you will see the same statistics. And then you can compare black and white, which one protected better. So that is more work. So I think that's something that you as a partner need to sort of sense how much time you have depending on the customer's size. But I think that is a very interesting approach, because then you move away from soft measures like discussions, opinions, and you really rely on data.
Mm-hmm. Brianna, can I just jump in real quick to talk a little bit about like what we've seen in terms of offering a service for all this? Because I know there's probably a lot of other small businesses, MSPs on the call. One avenue that you can take, because a common objection might be, hey, we already have people handling this, right, internally, a co-managed approach. And the reason I say that is because there is still that talent gap out there in terms of people internally understanding the solutions. As Emmy was just mentioning, there's a lot of technology to unravel, and there is a skill gap. So offering a co-managed approach, hyper-focused on this Microsoft space, can be extremely valuable for managed service providers out there, because just to understand the solution, it takes a lot. There's a ton of pillars just to Defender, right? You have Endpoint, vulnerability management, Defender for Office 365, identity and access, cloud app security. That's a lot to manage. So co-managed gives somebody a more cost-effective option to supporting all that.
Yeah, definitely. In this space where there's a lack of security professionals that really understand it thoroughly. This is the opportunity for partners to come up, certify, get training, become that subject matter expert, and really take advantage of this open space or this open gap, right? And I think the partners on the panel, really understand the Microsoft business. You really understand the security business as well. And I think this is the space for you to come in and educate too, because I think really to make a sale and to really engage your customer, it's education, because you don't know what you don't know, right? Now around kind of the products and offerings of what's consolidated into, let's say, a Microsoft 365 Business Premium, there's tons of features that you can unlock and start building revenue, building, opportunity and ROI around, right? So we touched around POCs, we touched about workshops, right? And when you demonstrate and showcase these to your customers and set engagements or even sales calls, what is the key thing that you've seen really click with that customer and get them engaged and excited about the possible product that they could be using?
I guess from my standpoint, again, leading with something like a business premium, you get it all. So, from the jump, you're telling this business owner that, whatever your pain point may be, you're honing in on the value prop. So if they come to me and they're saying, we're struggling with email security, well, Defender for Office 365 can kind of fill that gap. And if they're already in a business premium SKU, or they're thinking about it, you can then talk to them about, well, for endpoint, we can also do this. For identity protection, you can also do that. And that's where the consolidation comes into play. Microsoft has a great slide out there. I think it's like close to $45 or $50 if you're going to put together all these different point solutions for security, identity, device management, collaboration, and productivity. So if you can, find their pain point, let's just say it's email and file collaboration, then Defender for Office 365 Plan 1 is like a no-brainer. And that's something that we lead with often because, you hear it all the time. We're getting so much spoofing, spam, etc. So that's like a nice little, card to have. I think another one is Intune. It's slept on, but for device management and secure device configurations, which a lot of companies need to have when it meets compliance, that's a great thing to discuss. It can get a little technical very quickly, but for the business owner, they just want to know our company devices are secure, they're managed, and we can accomplish all that for you. So those are some of the things that I've seen really work in terms of the products that are in business premium.
Davey, what do you think on some of those things that Anthony covered?
Well, I think the key feature, what makes the deal go on with our customer, it's mostly the integration with the entire ecosystem, the security ecosystem of Microsoft. The fact that Defender for business or endpoint is just one part of the broader security story. You have the Defender for identity, like Anthony mentioned before, the Office Defender for Office, or now Office 365. You have information protection, cloud app security, Intune for management. You have the entire solution, and all that within the bundle of business premium. That's also why we focus on the business premium, because it just has all those extra security features add on compared to the basic or the standard.
Yeah. Emmy, anything you want to add on to that?
Yeah, so for me, there are sort of two main perspectives on the services offerings. And I think that if we take business premium as an example, there is the value that we have had in business premium for the past time that is more, let's say, IT management, or like setup, like what we were talking about, like doing half a day workshop, like setting everything up, deciding what level of security do we want to have, like how do we want to work with conditional access, like how do we want to think about like document protection, like those kinds of things. That is, let's say that we want to classify it as more IT management, setting up the right structures and those kind of things, where it's more heavy for a partner to do work, let's say in the beginning / upfront. And then we have the newer stuff that came in with MDB, where it's more about like security management and like ongoing monitoring. So here you will start seeing, like, for instance, in threat and vulnerability management, you will see what preventative measures that you can take to sort of improve your customer security on endpoints and applications. And then you will see throughout time what kind of threats your customers are being exposed to. You will also see recommended actions to sort of fix it. But I think that this is an interesting new area that we do see partners tapping more into and thinking about, like, okay, maybe I had a business premium offering and I charged X dollars for my services. But now if I'm going to do like a bit of analysis on a monthly basis, weekly basis, whatever you decide, then I'm going to like charge something for on the endpoint side as well. So that is something that we're seeing coming up. So I think those two streams. And I think one very interesting new addition, or actually two new interesting new additions, no, actually three. So we have added mobile threat protection in MDB. So now you will get like that kind of protection and diagnostics when you buy or sell MDB standalone. Before MDB standalone, like, we have always had the ability to protect mobile devices, but we had a dependency on Intune to actually enroll the mobile devices. Now we have re-engineered, so you no longer need Intune to enroll mobile devices into MDB. So that's a huge value add that we announced 23rd of March. The second thing is that we have announced value reports. Like, we have announced monthly security summary reports that you will get both in MDB standalone and in Business Premium, where you as a partner will get a very easily downloadable and customer-ready security report, where you will be able to show the customers how many threats you protected them from, what are the recommended actions. Like, you will get a summary of the customer's, let's say, state and next steps. And that's also a great way for you to add services, because then for the next steps, that's work that you will, hopefully do as a partner. And then, of course, that can either be part of an ongoing service package that you provide, or, charging. I think the ongoing, having a fixed price and doing managed services ongoing is the best option. You could also do consultancy hours, of course. And then the third one is exposure score in Lighthouse, where we have just announced that we will be showing a holistic view of all of your customers and which customers are the most exposed to threats. So that will, in Lighthouse, give you as a partner a very, very quick overview of, like, okay, in my customer portfolio, who are the weak links and where should I spend my time?
Yeah. I really like that you brought up Lighthouse, because I feel like in terms of just knowledge and usage of the platform, I think there's a gap in terms of what partners may or may not know of what's capable through that system. I see David also in the chat kind of answering away, and I've promoted you to a presenter, David, but if you want to come on screen or just shed some light on Lighthouse and how you've seen partners gain value out of this in terms of managing their customers in a multi-tenant format, do you want to talk about this and what you've seen so far in this space?
Sure. And Brianna, I don't have video, but I can definitely do audio. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, Lighthouse is an excellent, it's our first party multi-tenant management tool for Microsoft 365. It's still a work in progress, but it's gotten to the point where it's really become quite useful for MSPs. For example, an MSP that has Business Premium if their customers have Business Premium, they can just have a look in Lighthouse and see, on any given day, where the customers stand with vulnerabilities in their environment. Because I think that's the type of thing that, MSPs could really drive a lot of value fixing for the customer, right? A vulnerability is just something that's a weakness. There's an exploit available for the software that customer has. If we identify that, you can see at a glance, like, which of your customers had an increase in exposure. Perhaps you have a customer with a with some old software that has a newly identified remote code execution vulnerability. That means that a hacker can log in and do something without necessarily interacting with the end user. If that happened, like those customers would pop to the top of the list, they'd show fairly red, and you could go in and just click right into that tenant from Lighthouse using your partner account, go see what's going on, and then come up with a plan to do something about it. Like there's a lot of, that's not the only thing we can do in Lighthouse, but it's really something that I think every MSP should have a look at. If they haven't had a look at it recently, they should have a look now, because the team has really pushed out quite a bit of new stuff where I think, it's getting a lot of traction and deserves a second look. If some folks kind of looked at it in preview, didn't see what they wanted, and haven't looked at it since.
Yeah. And can you touch on some of the products that Lighthouse can integrate into its platform?
Yeah, as of today, it integrates with, well, it'll pull in every customer tenant that the partner has linked to them. Now, the ones we actually do, we currently officially support are Defender for Business, so you could have a standalone Defender for Business tenant. We'll pull in, the features there, give multi-tenant views of incidents and TVM. Business Premium, of course, E3. We support customer size up to 2,500 users in the tenant. This is intended for SMB and MSPs, but we do scale that high just because some SMBs or MSPs have customers that are a little bit bigger. But it does things across all tenants. So even like Business Basic and Business Standard, they will show as an unsupported tenant type because they don't have the right licensing. But the GDAP wizard and the user management components do work in that. And the reason why those tenants are currently unsupported is a lot of the functionality required for Lighthouse to do its job is in Intune or MDB, and those subscriptions don't have that. That's the only reason why. But I also wanted to add that the Lighthouse team certainly recognizes it is moving toward a model where they can include all tenants. It's just a work in progress to get other tenant types supportable or in a manageable state.
Got it. Yeah, and you touched on GDAP, and I know that that's generally something that most of our partners are tackling, and being able to consolidate those types of functionalities and turning on or turning off that level of access. It's something that has really streamlined a partner's efforts in achieving GDAP. So thank you so much for coming in. By the way, everyone, David Bierman-Burr is actually a colleague of Emmy, and he comes from Microsoft as a security architect. So definitely has the credentials to come in and talk more about how he can help, with some of the questions in the chat. So that's where we have it for questions. I want to open it up to some of our attendees on the call. We have allowed for you to turn off your mute. So if there's something that you want to ask our panelists here, maybe talk about some of the challenges that you're seeing today, there is 10 minutes of this webinar call to kind of get into some of your particular questions as well. So I'm going to pause and see if there's someone that's willing to step up and ask the first question.
Hi, I'm Ravi from Elegant System. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was a little interested in this Lighthouse thing. So I went on the website. I can see the article from Lighthouse on Microsoft, learn.microsoft.com. And while following the instruction, I'm in the admin center, partner portal admin, Microsoft admin, but I can't see it. Is it based on some criteria or everybody's eligible for it?
I'll answer that one. To get Lighthouse, you have to
that's right. Yeah,
from your partner tenant. It's $0 product. So you
yeah,
just go
agree.
to the normal place, purchase Lighthouse, and then it does take a couple days to onboard your partner tenant. But after about 2 days, you should be able to log into lighthouse.microsoft.com, and you'll see your customers in there, and you'll be able to interact with the features.
David.
Then
okay, found it. Okay, no, David, that was not the question. The question was slightly different. Sorry if I'm not clear. Basically, I was in admin portal, but I could not see Microsoft 365 Lighthouse. And just in case others are having this problem, basically what happens is they show only 8 or 10 product and everything is under that see more options. So you have to click that, then the whole list opens up, and then now I can see it. Sorry, if that's a stupid question, but just an over. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Neil, I see your hand raised.
Sorry, if nobody's asking,
I think that was an accident. I apologise.
Can you hear me okay? So my name's Neil Wilcox. I'm interested in upskilling my team, and I wonder whether anyone could direct me to the right resources for some Microsoft training around the topics that we've discussed. Are there any specific exams you'd recommend?
Mm-hmm.
So I can answer from a Microsoft standpoint. So both me and David, we work on a training program called the Microsoft 365 SMB Masters Program. And within this program, we have a digital series where we have multiple different offerings. We have two things that I would really invite all of you to check out. We have the first thing that we offer is a bootcamp, where we, in a snackable way, provide you with a course for both sales, go-to-market, and technical content. And then we also have learning paths with badges. So we have a sales learning path that is already live, and we have a badge that you will be able to earn after you take the courses. And then we have a technical learning path where we have all of the courses ready, and the badge will launch with the exam in May. So I will put those links in the chat for all of you to view.
Yeah, and I want to add on to that from an Ingram perspective. So we recently launched an exclusive relationship with Pluralsight and a cloud guru. So if you don't know what these platforms, LMS platforms are, it's pretty much an online resource where you can get any type of certification path that's either industry agnostic, so like a CompTIA or an ISC squared certification. They have all those available for you in on-demand video format with even study exams for you to get the certification. Alongside that, they also have some vendor-focused content. So we're talking about Microsoft certification. They have everything in regards to the fundamentals, the intermediate, associate type credentials, as well as the advanced and expert. Everything's available. We even have kind of streamlined certification paths that we've actually set up for all Ingram partners. And the way that you're able to redeem that or move forward in buying kind of a license for your team, or even extending it out to some of your customers, is you can find it on Cloud Marketplace, and it's actually available on all of our marketplaces worldwide. So that's definitely something that if you're thinking about the long-term growth, you're thinking about setting up certification paths for specific roles in your team, I really like that platform just because it makes it easy, and the study exams are definitely the cherry on top for us. I hope that answered your question, Neil.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
No worries.
I have one more question on slightly different stuff. So, when we have got some problem for clients or for ourselves, right, we can log a call with Microsoft, and then somebody from Microsoft calls and helps and other stuff. Is that something available? I believe it is. That's what I'm just trying to confirm. Available through Ingram as well. So rather than going to Microsoft directly, I go to Ingram. And then
yeah, definitely. So in that relationship, Ingram is your intermediary between the vendor, and we definitely have that level of support to help you in terms of tickets that you've opened, or if we need to do an escalated ticket with Premier support, that's also something that we can take on and support you with. That level of support, that level of service is not lost. So what I can do is I can send you the link to how you can reach out. We call it our modern support team, and they're there really to help you through anything, if it's Microsoft related or platform related or other vendor related questions. They're generally the team to support you there.
And is it email based or service or ticket based?
It is by ticket, and you can do it through email, phone, or chat.
All right, that will be perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Any last questions in the 3 minutes that we have left?
I'll go again if everybody's right.
Go for it.
We are a small, I don't know, I see there are a lot of people in this group, so I don't know if I might sound a little stupid, but nothing is stupid. So basically, we are a very small company. We started a couple of years ago, and we have had our own challenges with generating demand and lead and other stuff. So the type of client that we have got, which is again is small and medium businesses, they generally do not have a capacity or the budget for going for something like premium, even though it does make sense, it adds values and longer, and it does help you save money. Where they don't have the appetite to spend that type of money, £20 per month per user, and if they have got 7 people. So is there any sales material, any sales battle card that we can use and deal with the objection handling and create a bundle in such a way that it's still lucrative enough? I don't know if there are other partners at our stage, they might find it useful. But if you have already crossed that path, you've already crossed that limit, then for them it might be too easy because you already have, because the problem is if you already have a business and that business is growing, and then you suggest them like, look, you are on business premium, sorry, you're on business standard, but now we have come to a level wherein if you use business premium, it will be better for you, cheaper for you. That part is easy. But if you're going as a new business to someone and trying to sell business premium, it's a little challenging for us. I don't know how others feel about it.
Yeah, I'll just speak to that a little bit. I totally get where you're coming from. Brand new businesses oftentimes prioritize free tools, free software, and minimize the expenses over security. I don't have a magic bullet for that one, but I don't think, if for someone like that, if I cannot convince them to look at security holistically, I can at least convince them to turn on the security features they have. And there's still quite a bit in business basic, business standard to be done. And then I would start looking at like where else can I take the customer, right? Even if I can't convince them to take security as seriously as I'd like them to, maybe I can convince them we should at least have robust ransomware protection and offer them like a low cost MDB add-on or something like that. That's usually the approach I take. Is you always want to be in there talking to them, sell them something. Do the best you can, and then come back later to talk, maybe perhaps have a premium discussion. And then the way I approach those premium discussions is I don't like to say, hey, here's this more expensive product, let me tell you about all its cool features. I usually look at it from a cybersecurity perspective, showing them, say, like I'll show them like the CIS controls and say, look, these are all the areas that threat actors are actively going against. We don't have protection in most of this. So I'll try to establish the business requirement to have the protection in place. And then business premium is very easy because it's the cheapest, most cost-effective way to get coverage for the entire set of cybersecurity controls that someone needs to be concerned about if they're concerned about their business.
Maybe just to add to that, so I think David's approach was slightly more technical. One of the things that I really like to do as well is to talk about scenarios, like common business scenarios. Like imagine, for instance, you have an employee, you have this document. Employee sends the document to the wrong person. How can we prevent that? And what is sort of the value of having, let's say, really like a mark on the document, so no matter who you send it to, only the right people can open it. Like to really simplify it, and you will find upsell guides, you will find objection handling assets on this page, and just on the page that I just shared, you can navigate. So the page that I shared is focused on business premium. If you go to products, you can also navigate to like MDB, you can navigate to other products. And this is really the hero site where we always update, like when we launch new things, we go in and we update this. This is like the one page to bookmark from Microsoft, I would say, because if you focus on business premium, I think it's great to like check back once per month and just see like what are the new stuff, because for instance, we launched the summary reports that's already populated in these decks. So yeah, please check that page out.
Awesome. And that was a really good question. So thank you.
Brianna, you ended up on mute somehow.
Oh, thank you, Emmy. So I was just complimenting you, Emmy, on your answer, and thank you so much for the question, because I think it was a really great segue, and it's honestly something that most of our partners are dealing with. So no need to be, like embarrassed of that question on this forum. I saw something in the chat around will business premiums supersede cybersecurity insurance policies? And actually, that's a really great segue to ending this call and thanking our participants, our panelists, and also our guests for their time. But we actually have a really great webinar series that kind of educates on the broader landscape around cybersecurity selling and how you can help be an advisor there. We actually have our next call where we're talking more about CMMC. This is something that's coming into the US space, but these policies around data compliance and sovereignty of data is definitely top of mind for partners. So if that's something that you're facing in regards to GDPR or just ensuring that your customers' data is within the state borders or regional borders of where they operate, this is something that I'd love to entertain you to join. And then the next one coming after is May 24th. This is all about cyber insurance. We're actually bringing in a cybersecurity insurance broker to talk about what are they looking for in insuring organizations, insuring MSPs as well. And we'll actually be recommending a few vendors and solution stacks to kind of get you compliant with what they're looking for. So a really great webinar to attend. So with that, thank you so much. We will be providing the recording as well as the deck with some of the questions and our panelists' LinkedIn credentials and URLs for you to connect. But thank you so much, everyone, for your time, and I really hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.